Hey everybody, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute, and you're listening to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, where we discuss the importance of purpose in our everyday lives. Discovering and living out your purpose keeps you focused on God's purpose. That is sharing the good news of salvation with others. This podcast is for people like me, still searching for the answers to who am I and why am I here? You and I were designed and created by God for purpose, and we have much to do. You can listen and subscribe to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose with Brenda Devine on Anchor and all other podcast platforms. Hey, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Hey, I just want to say thank you once again for joining me for another episode of my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose. So today's topic is a servant, a resource, an opportunity. So in your journey of living a life of purpose, your purpose is not about you. Your journey is not just about you. First off, it is about being a disciple of Christ and bringing the good news of salvation of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, your purpose is not just about you. Your purpose is about being a servant, being a resource, and being an opportunity for other people. So, if you are living out your purpose, if you know what your purpose is, if you have a project, like I have a project called Corner Store. And this project, I did not conceive it a year ago. I never conceived it. It was what God led me to. A good friend of mine introduced me to a neighborhood and then introduced me to a person, and then I was introduced to another person. I was being provided resources and opportunities. And I'm going to say that along that way of my project, there are believers. There were even some that I don't even know if they are believers. But they were a help to me. They provided resources to me, and they provided opportunities to me. And so I am also to be a servant, a help, a resource, an opportunity to others. So your purpose is not about just you. It's not about just posting or writing or building or making or creating or serving. It is about being available to other people. I can't live my purpose in a shell. You can't live your purpose in a shell. We have to expand our circles. We can't just be closed up with two friends, two spiritual friends, our spiritual groups, just our church, just our clubs, just the people we work with, just the people we have lunch with. We have to expand our circle, because the more we come out of our comfort zones, the more we talk about our purpose, the more people listen and they are curious. and they want to help, and they want to be a resource, and they want to be an opportunity. And we have the responsibility, living our lives on purpose, to be the same to others. You can't just receive and not give. You can't just say, this is my purpose, this is my project, this is my ministry, this is my business, and not be open to give to other people, to be a friend, to listen, to contribute, to support. You have to also give. When you receive, you want to, you're receiving, so you must also give. One of the things, so I'm going to say for myself, I've always been that type of person. I like to be closed off, like an introvert. My personality is an introvert. But a person with purpose, you can't just be to yourself. You have to share the good news. And you share the good news by being a disciple of Christ. You are walking and living in your purpose. That doesn't mean there's not one time that I walk around with a Bible. I don't walk around with scriptures. I don't walk around and tell people I do this and that in the morning and study. I don't tell everyone that. But what I do try to do is to let them see how I am, who I am, what my purpose is. Because there's a purpose that they see on the surface, but also they see that purpose as we dialogue and talk. They understand that anything that I do, it involves my purpose. And they see that in us, and they're drawn to that, and they want to know. And then what I've noticed is some of the ideas that they've had about purpose or the church might be different, might become different from just understanding and being, I shouldn't say understanding, by being around us, by talking to us, about us sharing what our purpose is. There is a big disconnect in the world, and I understand this because I was part of that disconnect. There's a big disconnect between religion and faith. So I used to practice religion. I go to church, not even on the regular. I would read the Bible, not even on the regular, not even really understand what I was reading. I go to church and listen to a sermon and not really understand how it applied to me. That was religion. But when I understand, when I answer God's call and learn about the principle of purpose, that's when faith became real. And people need to see the faith. Religion has its place, but people need to see the faith in you. And that is how we share the good news, by people seeing our faith. I'm working on a project. I'm resilient about it. I'm not worrying about it because I'm faithful. I might have my complaints from time to time because that's what I do. But I'm resilient about it because I'm faithful about it. And I know God is going to work it out. I have my ministry. I'm faithful about it. I'm consistent and I'm accountable. I have the message of purpose. People see that. They align to that. Now, whether they act on it, that's on them. That's on you. That's on whoever. I can't make anybody go and discover their purpose. My job is to share the importance, and that's what I do. And when I get an opportunity to be a servant, to be a help, to be a resource, to be an opportunity, I do that. And being an introvert, I never would have done that. But when you are walking in your purpose, you have to step out in ways that you have never thought of before. And as you are active in your purpose, opportunities will come, people will come, and they will be a help. And you have to be courageous to step into it. You might be afraid, you might be confused. I have been quite a bit. You might try to overthink it like an introvert does. But you have to decide, am I going to follow on what I'm comfortable with? Am I going to be the person I've always been? Or am I going to believe this word and faith and be renewed and be that different person, to be better, to be healed, to expand my circle? Am I going to do that? Am I going to allow that? Am I going to allow myself to be uncomfortable, to learn about my weaknesses and my strengths? Am I going to allow myself to be uncomfortable, to reach into new areas, new businesses, new ideas, new friends, new places, new colors, new foods, new things that I never even thought about before? So, you're on this journey of purpose. Great. But you're not on this journey by yourself. We are to be that new person. Not the old, the new person. And the new person comes by walking in faith, even when you're afraid, even when you're uncomfortable, even when you don't know, even when you have questions. You just walk. If you don't know anything else to do, walk. That means following God. Not walking by yourself, not saying I'm going to go left or right or whatever, but you just walking. Where he leads you, that's where you walk. You get introduced to someone that you didn't anticipate, that's walking. You get introduced to an opportunity that you didn't anticipate, you just walking. You get introduced to an opportunity to be a help, you just walking. You're walking. And while you're walking and you see someone coming to you, you are a servant, a resource, and an opportunity. You're not going to be stingy with your testimony. You're not going to be stingy with your gifts. You're not going to be stingy with your support, your help. You're not going to be stingy. You're going to give it, because what you've received, you didn't pay for. The gift of salvation is free. You didn't pay for that. There's nothing that we can do to pay for that. So you're not stingy. So remember, and I remind myself of this every day for probably the last month. I've started incorporating this into my prayer. Lord, let me be a servant. Let me be a help, a resource, an opportunity to someone. And Lord, on the other side, let someone be a help, an opportunity, and a resource to me. But first, I have to do it. I have to do that. I have to apply that to my own life. I can't just say, give, and I don't give. So I have to give first, and then I receive. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that to think about. Try new things. Talk to new people. Expand your circle. Opportunities come about. Discern them. Is it a good idea or a God idea? You know it if it's a God idea. You know if it aligns to your purpose. Your spirit will tell you. Your heart will tell you. You might be afraid. It might be something new. It's something you've never ever tried before. Okay? And that's part of it. How are you going to grow doing the same thing? You can't. You might get better at it. You might be an expert at it. But how are you going to grow? I've spent years in finance, analyzing, discerning. Really, analyzing and discerning are kind of the same. Okay? But I've spent years in it. But then God prompted me to write a book. And then God prompted me to write content. And then God prompted me. Now I'm prompted to start this project. Never would have dreamed. Okay? And I still have things that I believe God has prompted me to do. So, you walk even when you're afraid. Okay? But don't let an opportunity that God has given to you and laid it in front of you, don't let it go by because you're afraid or you're uncertain or you have questions. Walk into it with faith. Walk in it knowing that God will take care of you. He will handle it. He gave it, okay? He's providing it to you. The question is, are you going to receive it? So this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Hey, I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, on Anchor and all other major podcast platforms. To learn more about Purpose 8 Institute and our ministry of sharing the importance of purpose, please visit our website, www.purpose8institute.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. If you would like to learn more about purpose beyond this podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, you can also purchase one of my books that are available on my website, purpose8institute.com, and also on Amazon.